Okay. I just wanted to make sure that it was recording the session. Okay. So today we're all going to talk about over-the-counter hearing aids. And we have our Vice President, Marla Peoples, is going to introduce you to our presenter, who has been around the block quite a few times. And just a couple of things. We want your input if you've had any experience buying over-the-counter hearing aids. And how many people have tried over-the-counter hearing aids? Everybody in the room right now that's tried it? So we would like you to hold any questions you have until after the presentation, and Bob will be delighted to answer any questions you have. Okay, so get up in front of the camera. I'll get behind the. You can use that microphone. Okay.
Is this the line?
I'm Rennie Peoples, and I'm excited to be here to introduce our speaker today, Bob Rennie. I've known Bob since 2012, when I became involved with the Hearing Loss Association of America, HLAA, after getting my first cochlear implants. Bob has been a member of HLAA for 30 years, and back when the organization founded by Rocky Stone was known as SHHH, Self-Help for the Hard of Hearing. Bob's held many office positions in chapters: president, vice president, treasurer, greeter. I'm sure there are many more. He was co-director of the Southern California Hearing Loss Convention several years ago. Bob's had hearing loss since childhood, profound hearing loss. He's been a great change in hearing aids over the years, starting with the body aid, which was like a transistor size, fit in a pocket in your shirt, had a cord coming out of it with an earbud to your ear. Very bulky, very noticeable, of course. And look how they've evolved. So he's seen a great deal of progression in the hearing aid industry. Bob has been an active member of SHHH. It's a service club that emphasizes speech and hearing loss. He's been a volunteer of the annual Walk for Hearing in Long Beach, which is coming up, as Tony said earlier, on May 31st. And if you donate $100, you get a free t-shirt. The donations are very worthwhile, I'll tell you. Bob was employed by the IRS. Yeah, the IRS for 27 years. He's now happily retired. I must include a very special person in Bob's life. His wife of 33 and a half years, Bonnie. Bonnie has passed on to eternal life after battling cancer. Bob and Bonnie were quite a pair. Bonnie was blind, and Bob nearly deaf. She was his ears, and he was her eyes. Bob will be giving us information and current update status on over-the-counter hearing aids. We'd like for this to be an open discussion to find out if any of you have an over-the-counter hearing aid. If you look into it, what steps did you go through in looking into it? So we'd like to have that discussion at the end of this presentation. So without ado, Bob.
Thank you very much. Okay, did you all hear me back there? Good, thank you. Thank you, Marla, for your open presentation. Excuse me. Why am I doing this presentation today? Talk about over-the-counter hearing, educate us on, and about OTC, how we go to OTC certification. Hearing aid, are they easier to buy? Maybe more affordable, And in my talk a little bit about my personal experiences along the way. So, follow the script, but not wait for words.
Tony, if anyone can hear me, can anyone hear me? This is Joe, the captioner.
Gotta be closer.
You can't hear?
No,
I'm switching some things here. What is that? Okay, Joe, can you hear okay?
now I can hear you now. Yes.
Hey, talk, Bob. But talk, just say it.
You gotta space it. Space it.
Okay, got that? And then you got an issue, and what's the problem? Okay. You got that?
And
Joe, you hear me
It's really not clear.
not clear.
That's because.
Joe, can you understand me?
Yes, I can.
That was a delayed response.
Okay, I'm checking the speaking, the
The
speakers.
speed.
Try it again, Bob.
Okay. You got that? Got that? That's
Oh,
No, nobody.
okay, then drop this.
Where did this come from? Okay.
There's nothing on the.
I've got to get,
You need to open your.
sorry, everybody. We're gonna get this.
Start the slideshow. You didn't start the slideshow.
I'm not gonna do a slideshow. I'm doing this one at a time. Here we go.
Oh, I see what you're saying, yes. Of course. But I need to get behind there. We're ready to go.
Are you okay? Are you ready? Can you hear me, Joe?
Yes. Oh, but it's not up there.
Okay. Can anybody hear me back there? Okay.
I think it's the view, the presenter view. Or you see, let's just stop this for just a second.
Why don't you start talking, Bob?
Okay. I want to go back to my first story a little more. I'm a premature baby. 24 hours of it without reaching time. So, due to the prematureness of the cancer over my years, we're not going to go. Once then, they can't surgically repair those who it is done. It's surely done. So, my feeling was based on the not having to fully develop.
I'm not hearing him.
It's not here. Not here.
I can hear that he's talking, but I can't make out what he's saying. The audio is very distorted.
What do you want to do? Okay, so as a result of that, I didn't get my first hearing aid until I was 10 years old. And I only did it once in my 8th year. Then, okay, so, maybe when everyone's
You may have
that
I don't hear anything.
No, you're not.
okay. Okay, yeah. Can you hear me now? Okay. So anyway, given the hearing test, they want to then take it for hearing. I got that feedback 40. So when I came to California from New York, somebody recognized my hearing loss, that for the department of hearing aid. And they were big glasses. And I had the in glass hearing aids for the next 15 years of my life. And it was those things were the ugliest looking things ever designed for hearing. And so I didn't win any popularity with that. So that's the reason why I like hearing aids as a subject, because people today nowadays talk about they want to be discreet, and I'll talk about that later in my presentation. So involvement with hearing loss, I started in the early 90s. There's two people here, Frank Dale and Jeff. We're all three started the local chapter in the so these three of us have been around. So thank you for showing up, guys. So what is over the counter hearing aid? This is a new category of hearing aids. They are available over the counter. You can purchase in like a drugstore, Walgreens, CVS, Best Buy, a Sony store, or even online. That's where a lot of people purchase their hearing aids online if you're going to buy it over the counter. The price is right too. Also, usually costs $100 to $1,000 per pair. The presentation age can run from $2,000, and over the counter may be an option for those people with a mild to moderate hearing loss. That's the group they're trying to reach with that. That's the majority of people with a hearing loss. Of the 50 million people in the United States have a mild to moderate. The hearing technology is taking this consumer technology and giving it a lot more options than the traditional hearing aids have done up to 2022. Hearing aids have shown the purpose of the quality of life in the midst of feeling a sense of loneliness. And the hearing aids also help maybe stave off dementia. In some ways, the hearing aids will help you to be more adaptable in social environments. There are 4 degrees of level of hearing loss. A mild hearing loss is a person with soft tones, sounds like whispers can help them not hear well, unless you're in a noisy situation also, in a cloudy environment, a cloud noise environment. A moderate hearing loss is having trouble hearing normal levels of speech, and people sound like they're mumbling to you. Seems like you're not getting all the message of hearing. The severe hearing loss, if people like myself hear some sounds like a lawnmower, or have trouble understanding speech and stomachs of your speech and all that, so they have a little more difficulty understanding what's going on. And the profound hearing loss person can't hear anything normal, and they can't understand what's going on. And the only loud noise they can hear is construction noise. So those are the 4 basic levels, and the 5th one is being deafness. And I don't know much about that subject. Up to the year 2017, you could purchase an amplifier for amplification of this speech into your ear, but they're not hearing aids. So in 2017, the FDA came out with new guidelines, and they're going to spend the next 5 years to develop this new category of hearing aids, make it more accessible and affordable. These new rules are effective fall 2022, despite the COVID at that time. And the requirement these hearing aids can be sold without a prescription and it must meet specific standards for safety and effectiveness. It can't be sold to anyone under 18. These over-the-counter aids must comply with certain technical requirements, including restrictions on how much they can amplify sound, which they intended to protect the users from damage to their ears. Prescription hearing aids and the over-the-counter hearing aids function the same way as they both pick up sound with a tiny microphone, amplify them, and transmit them to your ear via the speaker. The biggest difference between the over-the-counter and traditional is not the technology they use, but how you go about purchasing these. In some ways, how you set up the mouth, how you set up the hearing aids. So that's the big difference, is how you purchase and you set up. With a prescription hearing aid, you have the option of going to an audiologist or a hearing aid specialist. They provide a hearing test, evaluate your needs, and help you decide what type of aid will help you in your search for a new hearing aid. They also provide the fitting needs and also follow up for the adjustments. With the over-the-counter aids, there are no requirements to go to a provider or even have a hearing test. Some of these hearing aids, over-the-counter ones, you can buy it without taking a hearing test. And to me, that doesn't make sense. You don't know what kind of hearing loss you have. So it's a setup, and the adjustments are strictly up to the customer. You don't have any professional help. Other important steps you must consider before you step into the world of hearing aids. You must address other issues that might affect your hearing. And that's where you might have to see a doctor in case you have a sudden hearing loss. And Marla Peoples had a program back in March when we had some professionals coming in from the House Institute of Ear from Los Angeles and Orange County. Talk about that subject. You might have an injury to your ear, in the ear around it, pain or discomfort, fluid, blood, or pus in the ear, tendonitis is another issue. So it's important to have a doctor checkup. The gold standard for assessing hearing is with a hearing care provider, such as an audiologist or a professional hearing dispenser. Even with a mild loss, hearing loss, you may want to get professional help if you're like a school teacher in a crowded room, you have all kinds of noise, and the standard test you take over the phone or on the computer doesn't usually address that issue. So you might want to see a professional person there. In-person hearing tests are usually covered by private medical insurance. Perhaps Medicare might pay for some evaluation at the beginning. My recent experience, I haven't had a hearing test in about 10 years. I just had one done about a month ago, and nothing's really changed in my hearing situation. For those who want to avoid the professional help, they always assess their hearing at home using the computer.
Okay.
And those who want to avoid the professional help, they can use the computer or the smartphone. These include tone-based testing apps, where the auto tones are played in decreasing volume and dictionary mode of speech in noisy situations, loudness, and mini and sonic cloud type over the hearing aids have reliable iPhone apps for the tone-based hearing test. The main point is whether you can handle all this selection and setup of over-the-counter hearing aids that you own. Some of the OTC companies offer high level of phone-based online support. Still, you have to pick a device, figure out how it's settings, and in some cases, program it. You also need to learn how to put them in your ear correctly and clean it, make things right, and troubleshoot any problem that comes along. Choosing an over-the-counter hearing aid has several points to keep in mind. How to customize it to the basic types, the two basic types, self-fitting and preset. The self-fitting aids tend to be more costly, but they are subject to more stringent FDA rules and requirements here. The self-fitting can use a smartphone app during the initial setup to help you to adjust to the device to suit your specific hearing issues. And all these self-fitting could give you a greater chance of the best possible settings to help you with your specific hearing needs. Some users might find the self-fitting process a little complicated. So those younger folks who have been around technology all their life might have an easier time adjusting to this. As we get older, the older folks might have a little difficulty handling all the initial stages of the fitting process. The preset over-the-counter hearing aids come with a number of set programs, and each offer a different level of comfort for the hearing loss. And so these is another way if you can handle the preset model. What are the types? There are basically several types. The shapes in the ear and behind the ear. In the ear are smaller, sometimes easy to fit, and discreet in a lot of ways. Some people are really don't want to be known as a hearing aid user, and so they want to be completely in the ear. Behind the ear, is one way now currently, consists of a connected pieces with a tube, and it contains a device that goes in your ear to get different size fittings for your ear to ear. The receiver in the ear. So in-person, how good are the customer support? The main advantage of buying hearing aids through an audiologist or hearing aid professional. If you get the expert service helping you to figure out your new aids and how you troubleshoot anything. So it pays to have advantage of someone knowing what they're helping you with. The support makes a difference, and I think that's what the reason why the price is a little high, because you're paying for the services. Those who purchase over-the-counter online or through a convenience store like CVS or Best Buy and don't have to use the professional help, like the hearing aids. So they must have had success in setting it up. Devices have to meet the FDA guidelines, and for all the extra support someone, the professional, I think it's easier to use and understand. That's why it's critical to find out exactly what support you would get when you buy over-the-counter hearing aid. What's another thing to remember is what's the return policy? It takes time to adjust to your hearing, and some of these hearing aids give you only 14 days, which I think is not too long for adjustment or before it needs to adjust to the hearing aid. And perhaps other issues might come up with it. And so that's why the shortage time of testing is not in your favor, in your advantage. Some of the another thing you should worry about is what features offer for your hearing aid. In the standard hearing aid, you can get different features like Bluetooth technology, telecoil. We stress telecoil very much here in this room. Both Bluetooth and telecoil, smartphone apps, and the volume control. From my study here, there are many claims about how good over-the-counter hearing aids are compared to the expensive hearing aids you buy from the professional. A recent study by the National Council I engaged in last year, this late 2024 information, came up with this summary of AUDIEN, AUDIEN, with the best overall over-the-counter hearing aid. Jabra Inhax had the best quality. I don't know what these mean. Artist, AUDICUS, has the best post-purchase care. Eargo had the best invisible fit. And MD Hearing had the most features of the options. This is the one Bill Namath advertises on TV. And he talks about how this OTC is a lot better than the most expensive hearing aids he's going. So another study of about 600 people, and I call this the 2Cs. Cost is one factor, and the other one is care and comfort of the OTC in your ear. Factors can help them decide what to buy. The comparison of these various brands, several major items need to be verified regarding the hearing aid population in terms of features such as the Bluetooth. I have Bluetooth on my hearing aids. My phone. I like the technology there. Also, the volume control and other features you can get. So the more you pay for over the counter, you get these features. But the basic one is $100. Don't have a lot. So with Bluetooth, the ones that have this feature is Jabra DN, capabilities of user-friendly, and adaptable health tailored for experience. Audio hearing, capabilities for hands-free, calling and streaming. Ear, ELEHEAR, Yarn, that's the Bluetooth streaming. It's also capable of working with your Android and your iPhone. And Lexi BI, that's a Bose product, and that has Bluetooth enabled with an app. So you have to look for all those, but the general public has no knowledge of that if you've never had a hearing aid before. And in my study, I gave all these different testimonies of how great the hearing aids are, these over-the-counter ones. And I got this one where this grandson tells his grandfather that he wears an AUDIEN, AUDIEN, Adam Bluetooth type hearing aid to try out the Apple one. And Apple last fall of 24 was able to take the hearing bug, the little white bug in your ear, and they were able to upgrade it to a clinical grade hearing aid. If you have the latest one, and you go through your smartphone to upgrade this Apple product, make it a hearing aid. So this fellow took 2 months to compare between these types of hearing aid on his own. So, the audience, Adam quote, all two have these selling points. The best value hearing aids, clear sound quality, sleek, small, and discreet, very comfortable to wear, cost less than $100, wireless charging, 24 hours and one charge, no hearing test needed, free shipping, had no background cancellation of noise. With the Apple AirPod 2, the AirPods usually sell for $250 off. And since last September, when Apple was able to get this modified as a hearing aid, with going to taking a simple 5-minute hearing test, and that's a simple test in tones, and whatever they can do in 5 minutes to make sure you can wear this thing. And the selling points here is can be used as a clinical grade hearing aid to hear voices and sound around you, help you hear media, live music, and phone calls. And Apple says the features with this iPhone and the earbuds is protected by the guarantee warranty. So through a hearing protection feature on your iPhone, you're able to wear your earbud as a hearing aid. And some people think that's okay, it doesn't look bad on you, it's a little fancy thing. So you take the 5-minute test and off you go. So other hearing aid manufacturers offer online hearing tests, and Medicare covers for some of these. How does Apple AirPods compare to others? So this guy in this article would say the best sound experience was audio. The product had a clear sound, free from background noise, running water. AirPods amplification wasn't as strong as compared to audio. The best battery performance was audio. He could charge his hearing aid for once a day. The Apple AirPod only goes for about 6 hours, so that means you have to charge it a couple times a day. Easiest to use with a draw, and the audio, when you first started, it took him 5 minutes to get used to it. For the Apple AirPod, he had to take the test, and the test conformed with the earbud, and that took about 10 minutes. So he called that as well. For discrete, the best discrete design was the audio. The user liked it, but this was a small size, fits in his ear without anyone noticing. To get what they're wearing at times. Although small, the AirPod discreet enough. Some people think he's just listening to the radio program or music or something. The money back guarantee, the AirPods was only 14. Risk-free trial and the audience $45 with 1 year warranty and free shipping. So I said earlier, I kept reading all the time about it, and last Friday, I'm going to go off the script a little bit here, and I got this interesting survey from an audiologist in Great Britain. He's a 3rd-generation audiologist, so his father and his grandfather were in the business of selling hearing aids. And he came up with this guide, a buyer's guide to overcoming 7 common hearing aid buying mistakes. The first one, buying mistakes, is not taking the time to do it right. Helpful tips. Consider the noisy environment you're going to be wearing your hearing aids. If you just make a quick decision on it, you're not taking the time to see if it's going to work for you. Ask the hearing aid specialist to perform a speech clarity assessment in a quiet and a little more noisy environment to ensure that this aid will help you out. The second mistake is buying the features and not the benefit. This is an easy one for the biggest mistake people make in one purchasing a hearing aid. What does this aid do for me? And how it really helped me out. The third one is selecting the wrong style of hearing aid. This goes on with the style and the type of hearing loss you have and the type that would help you benefit from. So the invisible came in the canal, in the ear, the behind the ear, and etc. So it's all with the stuff. The fourth one, consider definitely the hearing aid specialist or care to help you out with this hearing journey needs, with your special needs. Mistake 5, expecting everything to be pitch perfect right away. And that's not the case. It takes time for your brain to adjust with the hearing aid. And so you have to how it's going to work properly for you. Number 6 is forgetting the long-term benefits required for regular checkups. Unlike glasses, hearing aids are adjustable. So when you have hearing changes, which means most likely to take place, you can adjust your machine and you don't have to go out and buy them. And the last one, number 7, purchasing and price alone. So a lot of people purchase hearing aids just based on the price and not the right product. So that's my presentation. I'm opening up for questions and answers. Wallet.
My question is, on the over-the-counter hearing aids, do accessories like a Roger fan or Roger 1?
Let me get.
Sorry, what's the question? Okay, my question is, do accessories like a Roger fan or Roger 1 go with these?
I saw that anywhere in my discussion of it. Anybody knows, I know what you're talking about, but I can think that I have one too. So a lot of people don't, I don't think for a while hearing loss they would need that. Okay. Other questions?
Anybody else have any questions? The boats, over the counter.
Much information on the bows, I know what you're talking about. It's a Lexi one. So I think they might just have the same similarities compared to the other ones.
And what did you say about your?
That was another manufacturer out there. All these companies are not so very, they're all being managed with 20. Think, how do you eat CIM? They claim they have sold 1 billion, it's 20. No, and I think yes, $1 million. That's the one for $4.
Sure. I think the boss is getting the shelf somewhere. So just so you know. And we're only the Java, which seems to be very popular. Other systems. It's so those are really interested, but does Medicare cover OTC hearings?
I didn't get what you said.
Is Medicare covered?
Medicare.
Does Medicare cover?
And with protection, and do something with Medicare Advantage plan. Stuff that is really benefit. So they're not. They're not. Anyway.
Yeah, I'm doing a dispenser who have been doing business for almost 40 years, and a lot of companies have gone off beats. So they're coming and going on. They think they can make that spot. But the people who don't, you can think they get the benefit. But
There are some devices that you can get like at CES or whatever that are not FDA recognized over-the-counter hearing aids. They are PSAs, personal sound amplifiers. And you can get those for $9.99. But it's not, even though it looks like a hearing aid on purpose, but it's a personal sound amplifier. So it's not an over-the-counter. It's not an FDA cleared device. But the ones that Bob were talking about, they're FDA recognized, certified, approved under their program. But unfortunately, even though it did get through the FDA, they didn't do anything about getting Medicare coverage for that. That's too bad. But they are a whole lot less expensive. But do they work?
yes,
So I was hoping that somebody here had actually bought some and tried them in all earnest and give us a report.
the volume has sold 1 million copies since 22. I haven't seen anybody well. I don't know whether it's been being sold.
Well, a lot of those literally have to go online.
Go online. And perhaps maybe after a while, they don't work for them from the duo of that.
And I do know that there are hearing aid providers that will work with you if you. You okay, Bob?
I'm fine. I'm taking the down to the class. And you want to eat today.
You just have one cheek on the chair. All right.
Any other questions?
I think that's it.
Oh, that's one. Yeah.
We have two professionals, winners. Hearing money. And we have an animal health from a big city church, audiologist, dispenser by license. And when you're here today, you have questions. I know Ken has worked with some over the counter hearing aids, and I know he's an engineer, and he would like to obviously play the best at it. Good, you are willing to work with somebody over the counter. I'm sure there would be a fee. So anyway, so there's Ken, and yes, Ken, everybody can see you.
Thank you for your presentation on over-the-counter hearing aids. From an audiologist point of view, and I'm sure Ken would agree, the over-the-counter hearing aids are a great entry point for people who would never consider a hearing aid, right? So what they are is it's kind of like peeper glasses when before you really need to go see an optometrist or an ophthalmologist. So people get hearing aids and the over-the-counter in the mild, borderline, moderate loss are to help introduce hearing to people. 90% of the people who get the over-the-counter hearing aids are already out of that category. They don't reach them. So it's that's why it's kind of a mix, because some people who want to get the hearing aid and just spend a few $100s, it doesn't really give them the sound quality, or their hearing loss is already out of the range. But just like going to Costco, it's helping to normalize hearing loss so that it's not a stigma. that is common. Oh, I can go to CVS and buy a hearing aid. I can go to Costco and get my hearing tested. At least it's getting people open to making some changes. So from our point of view, it's a great entry point, right? It gets you in, but the majority of the time you're looking for something more. But
Yeah, that's a good point. Appreciate it. I think it gets people in the door and gets them educated they otherwise wouldn't have gotten. So I think hopefully over time, the cost will come down for everybody. Because that's how the market works, but I don't know. I have no problem paying $8,000 for hearing aid. So a lot of people have a problem.
One of the concerns or observations I've had is that people wait 7 to 9 years and have hearing loss. They don't get tested. They wait so long, they slip in from the mild to the moderate to the severe slot. The other concern I have is that a lot of people try over the counter and not have a great experience. I mean, because first of all, they didn't go to school to engineer sound and all that easy getting used to it. I don't want them to think that hearing aids that you buy from a professional after having a professional test is anything like an over-the-counter. Over-the-counter hearing aid is really it's kind of, I'm going to say the Fisher Price model. But I'm sorry after this. I'm joking. That's very relevant. Yeah. So it has been evaluated by the real over the counter. It's been evaluated by the FDA, but it's not a Fisher Price. It's not a Fisher Price. I was just kidding. Yeah, I did.
I meet people now that are young in their 60s and they are getting new hearing aids because its hearing loss has been associated lately with dementia, Alzheimer's. So they are not waiting for that to happen. They are getting tested and they are getting their hearing aids. And I love the idea that people are not waiting help themselves, so they live quality life, so that they can hear, participate in conversations.
So Gail is one of these people who's been around the hearing loss support groups, starting with SHHH. Bob and Gail used to run a chapter in Santa Ana and Orange, and I don't know, moving around quite a bit. But anyway, so Gail is very experienced. She has cochlear implants. So I have a cochlear implant and hearing aid on the other side, just so you know. I'm in the hearing loss category. Okay. Does anybody want to, I want to say one thing, and it's nothing to do with over-the-counter hearing aids. Loss journey. Some of you are just discovering that you got hearing loss. And maybe you don't know what to do. You don't know the jargon. You don't know where to go, what to do, who to talk to. And that's what this hearing loss support group is for, is to help you wherever you are, wherever you are in the journey. So I know there's a lot of new people here today. And I think you're here, some of you are here because you have, you think you have a hearing loss, and you want to explore over the counter hearing aids. So I'm hoping that some of this information today has been helpful. And, but if you really are beyond the mild and moderate, you really should see a hearing care professional, in my opinion, and get a proper test. Get a proper evaluation, and then decide if you want to take her with over-the-counter hearing aids or not.
I was gonna say, I really think that if anybody is even get a proper test done first. And know exactly what level you're at, because if you have a mild loss, fine, great, go for the over the counter hearing. But if it's anything more than that, you're gonna want to have some of the abilities that you can get from, some more thorough testing. I don't know if they do, hearing and noise tests at Costco. I don't know, if they do that for any of the other over the counter hearing aids. But I think it's important to get that initial evaluation and then go.
To this, when you go to see your primary care physician, or if you go to see an ENT, have them look in your ears, see if you have any earwax. Because sometimes that can cause, have you to believe that you have hearing loss, just have excess wax. Yes.
From audiologist is how close to that of a doctor, ENT. Would an ENT do a hearing test or just an audiologist? And what is an audiologist?
Okay, you know, I have a really great paper over there about the difference between a hearing aid dispenser and an audiologist. But let me tell you, an ENT or a family physician is a no physician to advise you where to go, what to do, or anything. They don't learn about the science of hearing. They look at you and they can see your earwax, they can see if you've got infection, if you've got any kind of inflammatory conditions going on. Their prescription is surgery or pills. It's not, they will never give you a hearing test, although they may have a division office where they have audiologists and hearing aid dispensers. But the ENT is not a person that you should get advice about hearing tests. They don't do hearing tests. They don't.
It's the education of an audiologist.
So Dan, why don't you tell everybody, since you are one?
Real quick, an ear, nose, throat doctor, ENT, is a medical doctor. An audiologist, I have a master's degree in hearing science, so I have 6 years of college. In 2007, our audiology profession changed our degree from a master's degree to a doctorate degree. So now, since 2007, you have to have 8 years of college, 4 years undergraduate, 4 years postgrad, in order to be an audiologist. I got grandfathered in, but we have doctors of audiology, not MD. So that's the difference. I can assess, diagnose, and treat hearing loss. I can't give you prescriptions. I can assess an infection. I can tell you what you have to do, but the doctor has. So what do? You learn physiology, learn speech pathology, and language development. We learn cochlear processing. We learn interoperative monitoring. We learn it's extensive. So the whole idea behind an audiologist is that we have the tools in the toolbox in order to best assess and treat your hearing loss. Right? It's not just putting a hearing aid in your ear. It might be the counseling skills that we spend 2 years doing. It might be diagnostic on other things. So I don't want to hold everybody up, but there is a big difference. And that's why Tony was saying an MD spends about a day or two in all of their training on it. They don't really understand. They'll tell you there's nothing to be done about tinnitus. Well, there is. It's just not a medical procedure.
Yeah, audiologists are trained, have a lot more training and testing as well. So I have another piece of paper over here that talks about best practices as far as regarding hearing tests. Pure tones and air and conduction tests, speech perception, speech discrimination test, quicksand, which is speech in noise and loudness test, real ear measurement, which is a verification test, to make sure that the hearing aids you do get match the description, that was gotten in testing. And then there's something called test box measures. So, and based on the results of any of these tests, there may be advanced diagnostic tests, and some of which might refer you to an ENT. It's really important. The more hearing loss you have, and the older you are with potential cognitive issues, it's really important to get all these tests. Just having a pure tone test is really not going to evaluate. So best practices. And having said that, there's a lot of audiologists out there that don't do all of these tests. So I have a list of the tests, and when you're calling around, you can ask them, do you do this test, do you do that test? Find somebody that is patient-oriented and all the best practices. Anything else? Oh, I forgot. Thank you, Marla. I'm going to pass the box for donations. Appreciate it. I spent a lot of money in printing. Jeff is our treasurer, and I'd be more than happy to take your money, and any amount helps. Next month, I'm going to be talking about hearing your best wherever you are. So sometimes hearing aids are not enough. Sometimes, even without hearing aids, there are things you can do to hear better. And we're going to be talking about that. So if you have a hearing loss, hearing aids are good, but what if you try something else? So I'm going to be talking quite a bit about that. And if you live here in Laguna Woods Village, I want you to know that every clubhouse except Clubhouse 4 has something called a hearing loop. And if you don't know about hearing loops, I would love to teach you. Also, and also the not just the clubhouse, but the GRF boardroom, the PC club education center, they're looped, so they're doing instruction there. You'll be able to use the hearing loop to hear better. And I have a flyer for that. So this is what it looks like when you, on your way out, grab this flyer because it shows you what's what in what clubhouse. And on the back, it shows a listing of 15 houses of worship that are in Orange County that have hearing loops. So that's what I'm about, is teaching you how to hear everywhere. And we'll do that in the second Monday in June. And I think I put that note on the agenda. June the 9th. So I hope you'll join us then. I hope you signed in, and I have your email address. I will send you a notice about it. Thank you for coming. There's a yellow form like this on the desk going. Like to give us some feedback on the meeting. We'd like to see it. And also remember caption calls here. If you'd like to get some information on how you can get your calls from now. So that's great. Thank you.
I'm sorry. I saw one from like 6 months ago. So yeah. Selecting what? Oh. No, I'm the one that does that. I do all these meetings. Not in the computer room. I'll go. Okay, guys. And we're hearing aids. Definitely get tested and make sure you don't have wax in your ears. Sometimes it gets really packed up. So next time you see your doctor, your primary doctor, whatever, look in there and see if you have excess wax. Oh, I've heard of that too. Yeah. It would. Yeah. Definitely would. Yeah, so for that, you need to see a medical doctor, although an audiologist could look in there and evaluate that part as well. So. Did you sign in? And you came in? Okay. Do you have an email? Get on my email list? It's called. Bye.
Yes. So I think it's sad. I think it's the guys are in the morning.